So, today we're going to dig into something pretty fascinating. We're going to look at how a company is framing its technology not just as a piece of software, but as a system for creating legally defensible evidence. We're going to break down their whole argument for exam integrity in the super high-stakes world of academic testing.
And their entire argument really starts with this one very direct question. It just cuts right past all the features and buzzwords and focuses on the moment of truth for a university or a college. When an exam result is challenged, when your accreditation is on the line, can the data you collected actually hold up under legal scrutiny? That's the core problem this whole system is built to solve.
Because let's be real, the environment we're talking about here is incredibly high stakes. It's a landscape just filled with potential landmines. You've got student disputes that can escalate fast. You've got the really strict demands from accreditation bodies. We're talking formal hearings and, yeah, in the most serious cases, full-blown legal challenges. In this world, you need a lot more than just a simple recording.
And that leads us straight to what the source material calls the credibility crisis. It's this idea that just having more data, more recordings, more alerts, doesn't automatically mean you have more credibility. In fact, it can often create the exact opposite problem, just an overwhelming, confusing mess of noise.
And here's the heart of that crisis. Most systems, they're great at recording stuff, screenshots, video clips, automated flags, you name it. But, and this is the key point, recording is not the same as structuring evidence. Without any context, without a clear framework, all those little data points just become noise. It makes it almost impossible for an institution to defend its decisions with any real authority. And this chart, wow, it really lays out the whole shift perfectly. On one side, you have the old way, right? Full of fragmented clips and random alerts that just lead to ambiguity and suspicion. And on the other, you have this proposed new standard, structured events, policy-linked evidence, and these unchangeable audit trails that lead to defensible proof. It's a very deliberate move from total chaos to real order. Okay, so if the problem is noise, what's the solution? Well, the source material gives its framework a pretty specific name, and they position it as the direct answer. They call it architecture authority. So let's break down what that actually means. And let's be clear, the source is really specific here. Architecture authority isn't just some marketing buzzword. It's presented as a specific methodology, a framework that's explicitly designed not just to watch an exam, but to generate documentation that is built from the ground up to be defensible in a formal setting, like a court. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this just some abstract idea? Well, no. The whole framework is built on 3 distinct pillars that all work together to turn raw data into structured proof. So let's see how it builds, piece by piece. So here they are, the 3 pillars. First, it captures actions as discrete events, not just endless random footage. Second, and this is huge, it links every single one of those events to a specific rule or policy. And third, it logs every action taken in an unchangeable audit trail. You can already see how each step builds on the last to create this solid chain of evidence. So let's zoom in on that first pillar. Instead of one long, boring video, the system identifies and logs these critical events with precise timestamps. We're talking about things like switching browser tabs, a student's face disappearing from the camera, or maybe a new device connecting to the network. The key thing here is context. Each action is an isolated, understandable event, not just a moment lost in hours of footage. Okay, and this next pillar, this might be the most important piece of the whole puzzle. A student switching tabs by itself is just an action. It might be suspicious, but it's not proof. But, and this is the game changer, when the system automatically links that specific action to the university's written policy that says students may not open other browser tabs, it transforms suspicion into documented, policy-backed evidence. That's what makes a decision defensible. And the final pillar brings it all home with transparency and accountability. The unchangeable audit trail answers every critical question about the review process itself. Who looked at the evidence? When did they look at it? What was their final decision? And crucially, why did they make it? This is all designed to eliminate any claims of an unfair process. It just leaves no gaps, no ambiguity. Okay, so we've got the 3 pillars, but what does all of this lead to? What's the final product? Well, this is the payoff, how all of this architecture comes together to deliver a complete, defensible case file whenever a dispute actually comes up. All right, let's walk through what this looks like in the real world. An event gets flagged and is automatically linked to a policy. An authorized reviewer checks out the evidence. They make a formal decision, which gets logged in that permanent audit trail we just talked about. And finally, with just a single click,
the system spits out a structured, comprehensive evidence report ready for whatever comes next.
And that report, it's not just a piece of paper. It allows the institution to take real, concrete actions. With this level of documented proof, they can confidently take formal disciplinary action. They can easily document compliance for those tough audits. They can walk into a hearing and present clear, structured evidence. Ultimately, it's all about protecting the institution's credibility, because their integrity is no longer just something they claim, it's documented.
And this quote, man, it just perfectly sums up the entire philosophy here. The goal is to completely shift the conversation away from any he said, she said arguments. It moves institutions out of a position where they have to explain themselves and into a position where they can simply present proof. It's a really powerful final thought. In these high-stakes situations, what matters isn't the explanation, it's the evidence.